The reality is that the majority of people, they don't know nothing about how their body works. So, and everybody unconsciously knows that, listen, you're a kid. The first thing you do is see your mom. You're like, you're 0 years old, let's say your mom is 30. You can smell as a child, you're like an animal, right? And there's animals that are used to detect disease. You teach them to smell and recognize it smells rotten, it goes to it. So you're a little kid, you don't know fuck all. You can smell. You can also feel. And we'll get into the process of disease and what disease is. You can feel a distortion in the mind. Something is agitated. And you know that that agitation cannot but express itself in a disorder. It's going to disorganize order, because that's what distress does, right? So, and then you witness your own mom going from the age of 30 to 35, and you see her degenerating. And you're a little kid, so this is mom. You and mom are like symbiotic. So you see your own mom getting old. But the problem is not getting old. It's the disease process establishing itself and starting to sprout and grow and grow and grow. You witness that. This is all unconscious. That's why I say humans are sensitive. We desensitize ourselves to function and get through our everyday lives. But children, they know exactly what time it is. So let's say you have grandparents. So now you have your mom, and then you have your grandmother. I'm like, but what's wrong with her? Like, she's fat, she's ugly, she stinks. Why is her hair this way? Why is her skin this way? Like, like, you cannot you're perceiving it. Now, a little kid is going to say a comment once in a while until you teach him to shut up. But he's perceiving something. All kids know that grown-ups stink. Well, think about it. Well, why do kids know that grown-ups stink? Because they do. That's why they need deodorant. That's why they need perfumes. That's why they have to bathe, I don't know how many times to remove the stench. Yeah, but this is normal stench today. I'm like, no, it's not normal. You stink. Why do you stink? Well, because I went to sweat. My sweat don't stink. Your sweat stinks because stench is inside of you, and then when your body gets hot, it needs to remove the heat, and some toxins come out, and then you stink. It's not normal to stink. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So that's a beautiful conversation about stench. TikTok clip may be. The point is, as a kid, you witness all of that. All I'm trying to say is that it's unconscious that people are growing old, that disease is there, and they're suffering in death. And nobody wants to address it because it points to the great unknown, which is death, which death brings the questions about what is life? Why do I live? What's the purpose of my life? Nobody wants to really address these things, except from a philosophical point of view, which is disconnected from the actual human experience. It's just like mental masturbation. So great, it's fun, like watching a movie. Oh yeah, for me, we come from aliens. Joe Rogan style. It's like I'm half-baked, and we're talking about stuff, and it's just, I'm blowing my mind. It's not connected to your actual human experience, and the fact that, well, you know what? Disease, suffering, and death is upon you. And that's a fact, and it's upon everybody. And then if you say that to somebody, says, listen, man, live, be merry, and just, we'll deal with it when it happens. I'm like, you're not very smart. Because if I tell you you're in a car and you're smashing in a wall in about 5 minutes, any sane person is going to say, well, does this person know what they're saying? They're going to look in front, they're going to try to see a wall, and if they see a wall, they're going to change their course. So I'm telling you, disease, suffering, and death is upon you. Everyone knows this. Nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody knows this unconsciously, yet most people don't adjust their course. They don't know how. They don't want to address the subject. They don't want to change. They don't want to deal with it. Because it's huge. Like I said, you're just talking about disease, suffering, and death. In order to understand health, you have to understand everything. So my fulcrum, today some people can consider me a knowledgeable individual, right? So I had to study in so many fields, from astronomy to economics, but my real center interest has always been disease and death. But in order to be able to understand the process of disease in its truest form and death, I have to know pretty much everything, because everything is interconnected. Now there's sciences that are more connected, and then it goes further and further along. But a person who is not able to sustain themselves financially has a disease. Literally disease, and that will have repercussions in every aspect of their lives. And it stems from somewhere in their system. So by default, then if you want to understand, well, how do I solve my problem? Then you have to deal with money, and then money is a science in its own in order to be able to be healthy. So health is the very center of the human experience. It's the first thing. Oh, this is a healthy baby boy. This is a healthy baby it. Welcome it to the world. You know, I had to try it out. It's fun. I don't get to talk about little baby it's. I had to try it. Little baby, hey, they, welcome, they. It's a baby they. Hey, baby. I got to try it out. It's fun. So this is our they. Health is the very foundation of the human experience because your human experience depends literally on your body. So and health is the upkeep of the human body. And once again, so I said, here are key things. I said health, the foundation of the human experience. I didn't say your mundane little existence where you get a job, ejaculate, go to bed and start over. I said the human experience. And the human experience, that means where are you? You're on Earth. What the fuck is Earth? What am I doing on Earth? Where is Earth? It doesn't matter what you believe in, right? You don't have the answers to these questions. And the human body is your vessel in which you experience this plane of existence. And you don't even know how it works. You don't even know what it's for. Right? It's kind of like you put a little child in a Ferrari. You know what the little child's going to do? He's going to play with the blinkers. He cannot fathom that this car can fly, almost. He's playing with the blinkers. This is exactly, because the child's consciousness is so petite, has no sense that there's a car. How do you build a car? The power of a car, what you do with a car. Doesn't understand that there's roads, that roads lead you to places, and where these places take you can be interesting things, fun things, horrible things, God knows what kind of things, and that on such a road there's other people going other places. The child cannot fathom any of that. He plays with a blinker, and that's his Homer Simpson style. Blinker on, blinker off. Blinker on, blinker off. Right? So you have human beings who have no sense of where they are and what this vessel does and what it can do. And so when you address the subject of disease, suffering, or death, let's just focus on disease. It highlights the height of ignorance. And people are very uncomfortable with this. There's no conversation. You cannot, if you really want to have a true conversation about the process of disease, you don't have a choice but to find answers to these fundamental existential questions that people do not want to answer, because then it gets, well, this is religious, let's not get into that. Well, this is spiritual, everybody has their opinion. I'm like, no, I don't care. Your opinion is one thing, then there's reality. Reality, no, it's impossible. There's no such thing as reality. No, right, of course, there's no such thing as reality. It's all relative. You see, we can't have such a conversation with such people. But to understand disease, which is in the human body, and the human body is undistinguishable from the mind. And as we've spoken about in so many of my videos, well, what is the mind? And we live in mind, and our brain is essentially our personal computer that allows us to plug into the big mind. How's that divisible from the body? It's not. And the circuitry that connects the two through all kinds of, right? We're going to break this down later. Well, so you're in a grid. So your health is connected to that small grid, which takes you in a bigger grid. And who the hell wants to talk about that? That becomes esoteric. That's not esoteric at all. That's so basic. Right? So it puts people it confronts them to how grand life is. And if there's one thing I've learned over the years, people are terrified of the grandeur of life. They want it to be on a drawing. So they feel, I can grasp it. This is a human cell. It's a drawing. Forget that such a human cell has never been seen in any microscope like this, ever. That's another thing you can look into. Shout out to one of my mentors, who's a doctor who talks about this stuff. Smart ass motherfucker. So the point is, people like to make things small because when they're confronted to the big, it highlights their ignorance. And people don't like to feel ignorant. Well, that's the disease. Disease equals ignorance. So the quest for health is a quest for knowledge about the human experience. And the human experience, well, it starts with the body, because if there's one thing which is nobody can argue, is you got a body. Now, once upon a time, we'd say your body is either male or female. Now, subject. We're not doing that subject right now, but we'll do it, right? So, male or female, or then, well, it thinks. And this thinking process is directly connected to the machine and to the physiology of the body. So how does all of that work? Well, that's huge already. Then I can just push it 1 degree. Well, what is thought? Where does thought come from? Why do I think? What thinks? For what purpose? So this is the very foundation of the human experience. And just to question this opens you up to such a vast, 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 vast ocean of knowledge. And people are terrified of it. So let's not deal with this. Let's make it into whatever we want. And this is the 21st century. If you want to believe that broccoli is the solution to all, there's a cult that celebrates broccoli as the end-all and be-all of cancer, every disease, arteriosclerosis. Everything is solved by eating broccoli, juicing broccoli, mixing broccoli juice with cucumber juice and shoving it up your ass in an enema. Broccoli is God. And you're going to have people who worship the broccoli juice. And people are going to hold on to it because they're scared. I understand it. I'm kind of teasing, but I understand. Because you're scared. And it's normal to be scared, and that fear needs to be addressed, and in our circumstances, spoken about. And nobody wants to deal with that because they're scared. They should be. But what are you going to do? So it's not. So for me, the subject of health is the gateway to the study of existence, of life, life and death, life small l, and death, small d, and life with a capital L, the thing that holds all of it. That's literally the subject of health, which means the human body, because when we talk about health, we speak about the human body. It's the gateway drug to a true, dare I say, esoteric quest. But it's practical. Well, I'm going to get sick and die. What the fuck am I going to do? Well, if I'm grounded, I perceive fear. What your average person is going to do is hype themselves to pretend that they're not afraid. Well, just live to the fullest. I'm like, you're half drunk. If you were sober, you wouldn't be saying such things. And that's the beginning of humility. And humility means not that you're weak or a coward. It means that you're able to perceive that something greater is upon you and you're small in front of it. And that means you're starting to be intelligent. So health for me, or the process of health, or the study of health, or health building, as I like to say, which is a sentence that one of my homeboys, Dr. Randolph Stone, coined. I guess he coined it. That's where I got it from. He's dead. That's what health building is about. To discover yourself as a human being and to build your life and with a foundation rooted in life, rooted in health. Anyways,